Thank you so much for coming. It's so good to see everyone. I'm so excited about tonight. And just wanted to mention some people, as you notice, have cameras off. Some people have cameras on. Totally fine. If you want to be part of the video we're recording for the station, then have your cameras on and no problem not having your camera on at all. I'm Polly Simpkins, for those of you who don't know me. I'm so happy you're here, joining from Ecuador, among other places. Thank you for taking the time. Hey, guys. Um, and this is our seventh Rock and Roll Book Club, so I'm really excited about that. And to everyone who's been here from the beginning, thank you so much for showing up, for supporting this. I want to thank my colleagues at MVY Radio for really supporting PJ Finn in particular, this project, and making it happen. And to Joe Stickles, you'll notice that he is here. He's our tech support, and I could never do it without him. So thank you so much to Joe. First of all, happy birthday to Bobby Ware. Today is his birthday, and it seems fitting that we send him lots of love, given the topic tonight. Also, it's almost a hunter's moon. Tomorrow it's full, so the moon's beautiful tonight. So I think we're gonna have a great night. Before we get started, I wanted to just mention our next book, which is called Once More We Saw Stars. This is going to be January 15th. This is written by Jason Green, who is was a senior editor at Pitchfork magazine. He's a beautiful music writer, huge Elliott Smith-like expert. And the reason I'm mentioning it especially is because it's a sad book. And I want to let everyone know that before. He lost his 2-year-old daughter, Greta, in New York City. And, it's sad. So I'm just telling you that up front. And we'll be, again, reading this and talking about it on January 15th. So, Peter Shapiro and the Music Never Stops. This is the book that we're...
Sure, why not?
And don't forget to mute yourselves, too, if you just listening in. Peter Shapiro, The Music Never Stops. And if you haven't been here before, what we typically do is we start with a short 15-minute video. It has some background of the book and Peter, in case you haven't read it. It doesn't matter if you haven't read it. And then there's a few clips from my interview with Peter. And I wanted to say before I show it is he was coming off a 4-night run of Goose at the Capitol Theater. He was exhausted and I'm sure hungover. He was and I said to him, Peter, if you want to, cancel and do it another time. And the kind of person Peter is, he was like, no way. He's like, I want to support the book club, MVY, I'm in, let's do it. But you'll notice in the interview that he kind of nods off, not nods off, but he's definitely feeling it. So I really felt that when I was interviewing him. I was like really anxious to let him go to bed. But so yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. After that, we're just gonna talk. Rich Rogers is here from MVY Radio, who's a huge jam band fan and expert in a lot of ways. I shouldn't say that because I think we all love live music, but he's here to chat about it too. So we'll get started with the video and then reconvene and chat afterwards. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Peter Shapiro is a concert promoter, filmmaker, magazine publisher, author, music visionary, and entrepreneur. The youngest of 3 brothers, Peter was born on September 7th, 1972, and grew up in New York City. Peter and his wife, Rebecca Rosen, were married in 2002 and have 2 children, Roxy and Simon. Peter attended Northwestern as a communications major. As a student, Peter experienced his first Dead show in March of 1993 at the Rosemont Horizon, which completely changed the way he listened to and experienced music. Simply put, that show changed his life. During the summer between his sophomore and junior years, Peter shot the footage for his documentary debut, And Miles to Go, on tour with the Grateful Dead. The project landed him an associate producer role on Tie-Dyed, rock and roll's most dedicated fans, which debuted at Sundance in 1995, the year he graduated from college. A year later, at age 24, Peter purchased the Tribeca nightclub Wetlands Preserve from Larry Block and would go on to run Wetlands from 1997 to 2001, which was an important learning experience and a precursor of things to come. He then went on to create the Brooklyn Bowl concert venue in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which has now locations in Las Vegas, Philadelphia, and Nashville. In 2011, Peter acquired the famed Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York, and renovated not only the physical building, but re-established it as one of the most prominent and powerful music destinations in the country. This past summer, Peter and his company Dayglow Presents took over operations at the Bearsville Theater in Woodstock, New York, with a multi-year lease to stage shows and work his magic once again. Peter is the well-known mastermind behind the Grateful Dead's 50th anniversary final shows, the Fare Thee Well Tour, celebrating 50 years of the Grateful Dead. He has gone on to produce numerous other projects, including U2 3D, as well as becoming the owner and publisher of Relics magazine. In 2022, Peter published his first book, The Music Never Stops: What Putting on 10,000 Shows Has Taught Me About Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Magic. So how does he do it? I recently had a chance to sit down and talk with him about that and how he is able to innovate, collaborate, and create in ways that continue to delight and inspire millions of music lovers around the world.
Second one is prison, baby. The sheriff's on my trail. And if he catches up with me.
Hey, Peter, welcome to Rock and Roll Book Club here at MVY Radio.
Hey, Polly, good to be here.
So good to be
Yay.
here. Yay. And I know that you're just coming off a busy weekend. I'm wondering if you had time was it part of the eclipse, or are you just seeing shows?
Oh, no, we just did a 4-night run with the band Goose.
Of course, we love
Kind of the
Goose.
next new band, yeah. And last night was the 4th night. It was a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday run. It's Thursday morning. You can hear the run in my voice. In the middle, I had to go to LA for a night, but we had last night the closing run, and it was awesome. But it's a lot of work when you have a big run, all the people who want to come and making sure they're in. And we had Vampire Weekend play with them last night as a surprise.
No way.
So that was cool, yeah.
What was the venue?
It was at the Capitol Theater.
Oh, it
So
was
it's
at the
fun.
Cap. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, did you stream it?
Yeah.
Oh
we
my God.
streamed. Yeah, it was good. You can still see it. Maybe go to the Relics channel. There should be highlights, or on the Goose YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh. I know you talk a lot in the book
They
about
actually streamed it free, which is cool. It was all 4 shows.
that's so funny.
It's cool. You can share shows like that now. Yeah.
It's so cool because I just watched Marvin Seal's I watched the at the Cap, and it was so beautiful and so great, and I was like, this is awesome that you feel like you're there with the whole lights and everything. I wanted to talk a little about in the speech that you gave at that Brooklyn, which was so beautiful and very heartfelt. I don't know if you remember it that well, but you spoke of your dad and you got choked up, and it was a beautiful speech. And you said, in a great venue, you create a place for people to escape.
Did you just see that on YouTube? Was it just up there? I
Yeah.
gotta go rewatch it. It's
Oh, it's
up
awesome.
there? Okay. That's
There's so
cool about the
much.
world. Like, yeah,
There's so much
sorry.
cool
Yeah.
stuff about you. No. And you said, a great venue is to grieve, to get married. These venues are homes where people can meet their friends in good times and bad. It gets me choked up thinking about it. The best ones are run by people who do what they do because they love what they do. And I just wanted to mention, I met my husband in 1989 at the Blue Willow in New York, but I fell in love with him at Wetlands, and Wetlands changed my life. Wetlands was a huge, still is part of my life as a DJ. And I do believe that Wetlands was my home. It was a place that connected me with music and taught me that music is a collaboration. And it's not just about someone sitting on a stage and playing at you. It's about collaborating with the group of people. It's about creating a higher consciousness. And you talk about this in your book with this, even the Slipper Room, which you were a contributor to. You said it's very different from Wetlands, but still a church. The Cap, you talk, about Brooklyn Bowls, all of it. And what you are doing is creating homes for people. And you said, sometimes a music venue provides a more important function than offering a stage for a performance artist. It becomes a holy place. And like the event with Neil Casal comes to mind, but I'm wondering if you could speak to that sense of holiness and what you've just come off of with Goose and having created that venue, and then to see it almost, as I've interviewed Chris France from Talking Heads, and he said it's like a gospel church when you're involved in something like that.
Yeah, I do. You could see people at wetlands over a course of just 24 hours on one day. Maybe it's hippie kids going to see a jam band, and they have plaid shirts, they have, Teva sandals,
Yes.
and they're seeking one thing. And then the next day you'll do a ska show and they'd have the white shirts rolled up, maybe suspenders, different dress, but they're going to the same venue, temple, to pray to the God of live music and get
Totally.
what they get, right? Ska music on Saturday, Friday was a jam band. You would see people seeking out the same thing. They just look different. And the
Mm,
music was a little different, but they were seeking the same thing. So I got to see that firsthand,
yeah.
just very, very powerfully. And in fact, then we do a hardcore show and a hip hop show. We'd sometimes did afternoon and evening on weekends at Wetland. So you'd see it very condensed. It became very clear to see. I still see it. I just saw it last night. And I get the response from people, the hug, I can feel it through their hug. I know it's not just me they want to hug or thank. It's what I am representing, giving them. And they need it. We need it more now probably than ever.
When I was going through your book, I also listened to the audiobook, and you said, oh, maybe someday I'll, in your author's note, you're like, maybe someday I'll write another one and read it. So as I was going through your book, as I first started reading, I started putting A's next to all the stuff that was like advice or just words of wisdom. And then I ended up making this book, 100 Words of Wisdom from Peter Shapiro, and the Music Never
No
Stops.
way. Oh my God.
And it's
No way.
yeah, it's 100 quotes.
Can I get a copy? Can you like send
For
pictures of that?
sure. For sure.
Wow.
I know. And I
No
really feel
way.
like
That
that
is
might,
a first. You made I may have to
I
show that
know.
to my kids.
I know. And Simon with Weekends Don't Happen Every Day. I mean, this book is amazing.
Oh, isn't that? Oh, you really read. Thank you for taking
Oh, I
all the
read it.
time. And then I don't know if we could tell the people your book. I couldn't. I had trouble reading the book. Right. I tried it, and I
Okay.
felt it. And you guys at home, you're a book club. It's interesting. I found it very hard to read my own book out loud. And I think I said that right in the author's note that I
Did.
tried it. I didn't like it, so someone else did it, and they say that's common.
I want to start with Ken Kesey and from page 15, chapter 3. Something I took away from my time with Ken Kesey, not to be over eager and follow his lead. That's important when interacting with legends who do not suffer fools gladly. And now at this point in your career, you're hanging with some people. Like, I mean, and I love that you at such a young age, and when you see pictures of you, you were just a boy, just so young, and you cold called Ken Kesey. And how do you still keep that advice when you're hanging out with people who are really powerful and as you are? And has that changed for you?
A big part of this is being able to hang. I think I say that, like you said in the book, and for kids growing up today in school, and the school is important, but being able to be social. I mean, you learn as you get into the real world. So much of it is you want to do things with people that you like being with.
Yeah.
And so learning that skill, which is harder for more introverted people. And I've been to get here, obviously extrovert. I've done a show every night for the last 28 years. Since when I was 23, I took over Wetlands. I'm 51. So that's a lot of extroversion. If that's a word. Being out, being the man, saying hi, the bands, the fans, the staff. I'm ready for probably maybe in the latter half of my life being less extra, it's because that's a lot of work and that's skill and learning that. And I've tried to teach that to my kids, say hi, look people in the eye, and then you add the meeting and spending time with your heroes, people you look up to, people you've known about, and trying to maintain it here. And I try to be here. I've had a lot of high stress situations putting on live music shows. It's kind of, I think you got to stay here as much as because things go wrong.
But I have a colleague, his name's Rich Rogers, and he's just a huge fan, he's a huge Jam fan. He has loved you, and he hasn't read the book yet, but I got him a copy of it. And I asked him if he had anything to ask you. And if you wouldn't mind, there's three things. He said, how hard was it to get Trey to be part of GD50 Fare Thee Well, which you talk about in the book, but if you just in a nutshell wouldn't mind.
Um, that part wasn't so bad, you know.
What it seemed like.
Partly Corey Capshaw, the manager, was a former Deadhead. I think he realized how it would be good for Trey, to take the mantle. But I had to think through carefully how to bring it to Trey, who I knew, but you don't really go directly. You got to go through, and he has different people representing him, and like I knew Corn was a former Deadhead. You got to think through those steps.
Lastly, Rich wanted me to say to you just to thank you from so many for all you've done for the jam scene for the last 30 plus years. So thank you. And I'm glad I got a chance to say that because it means a lot to him. I
Thank
wanted
you,
to
Rich.
ask you yeah, thank you, Rich. Speaking of Marvin Seals, I wanted to ask you because you talk in the book. I've always wondered this, so I'm so grateful that I have a chance, but the anatomy of an encore, and I always
Oh, yeah.
wonder like what happens, and you talk about, just as an example, Marvin Seals in 2020 when he was there, and also Duran Duran, I think it was, who
Oh
like
yeah, do it. I had to go up and get them. Yeah, sometimes
so how
an
does the
encore
encore,
needs to be juiced. It just needs
right,
sometimes part of my job is you've all been there where like the
totally.
show finishes and it's a little quiet and it's awkward and you need to get everyone going a bit. I'm pretty good at that. Come on. Woo! And by the way, just
It,
one person can do that. Actually, for your book club, if you have this in there, just let anyone listen. Just one person can help get that encore energy and everyone. Come
really?
on. Woo! Versus just being quiet or going to get a drink. Maybe you won't get the encore then. The artist is off stage. They can hear it. If they don't hear any noise, they
Is
may,
that right? Because I've
yeah.
always wondered that sometimes it feels like it's just a hard end. Like this is it. Have a good night, everybody. And there's no chance of that. Is there always a chance of an encore? Or
I think so. Yeah. Well, the band, if it's a arena show and a band has to get to Japan or something, it might be in there running what's called a hard run. They leave and it's all getting packed up. But yeah, I think there's a chance usually
okay.
if the crowd's if anyone late here starts cheering and yelling. Yeah, I think you're
Oh
lifting the
my gosh,
chances.
I'm so happy to know that because you said sometimes a band will play their encore and I still want more. So like in that case with Marvin Seals and in Larry Block taught you to like always the bands at least at Wetlands always played two sets. And you talk about how Marvin Seals originally in 2020 didn't. And you were like, you gotta like you wanted
Oh
them.
yeah, give him. Yeah, you want. Well, the idea with Larry was that set breaks leads to interaction. I mean, you said in the beginning you fell in love. I think at Wetlands, that was probably with a set break. If the
Absolutely.
show's just going, you're just watching the show. So that's part of it is for people to interact and hang out and spend time together.
In the inner
That's
sanctum
yeah,
downstairs.
down in the basement. Yeah, glad you.
A lot went in down there. One question, and I will let you go. I know you probably just want to go to sleep, but no, there was never any mention of Dred Zeppelin in the book.
Oh, I
That was
love
such
Dresden. Remember the
me
claw?
ah the nights at Wetlands with Dred Zeppelin were some of my
You
husband.
really know your stuff. I'm impressed with you. This is great. Yeah, I love Dred Zeppelin and that. I don't know where he is today. I went and
Where?
saw him in college in
Yes.
Chicago at Northwestern. Yeah, I'm surprised there's not more versions. Well, there is. Like, I know there's Drag Dead now, and there's
Right.
different versions of stuff. And I just saw Graham Lesh, Phil's son, just played a set last weekend where it's like a Dead song and then a Stones, Gratefully Stoned.
No way.
That's a Grateful Dead song, a Rolling Stones song, Grateful Dead song, Rolling Stones. So there's ways to just take these songs and hopefully keep reinventing it.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching. If anybody's joined during the break, I'm Polly Simpkins, and if I said Marvin Seals, I meant Melvin Seals. And sorry, there was a little lag in that video, but it was great talking to him. And I'm going to be posting the raw footage, the audio interview on the website so you can listen to the complete interview because he was fascinating. And if you've been to some of his venues, Brooklyn Bowl or the Cap or GD50 or whatever, you get a sense of him and what he's trying to create in all these venues. So thank you so much for listening. And hi, everybody. I see all kinds of familiar faces. Thank you for being here, everyone. And again, some people have their cameras off, and that's totally fine. But welcome if you just joined. And if anyone has anything to say, or if anyone's been to any of Peter's venues, I did invite him to come. It's possible he might stop in. He said he had a dinner tonight, but he was going to try to make it so it may be that he pops in while we're talking. But if Rich, why don't we start with you since you are, and if anyone's not familiar with Rich Rogers, who is he's one of my colleagues at MVY Radio, and he is, this is his world, and this is the music that he loves. So, what do you think, Rich? I didn't get to fit in everything that you asked me to ask him, but did you get a sense of him from the video?
Oh yeah, and thank you for asking those questions. That was pretty amazing just to hear him answer my questions and even just say my name was pretty amazing. I worked from home today and I spent about 6 hours watching YouTubes on him. There's a lot of stuff out there. He's done so much,
Oh my
but
God.
it was very interesting especially his Grateful Dead documentary. I highly recommend it. Um, it really gives you a feel for what the scene is like if you've never been to a Dead show. And, seeing him give someone a ticket to a show and see the love and, the excitement on somebody's face is, what live shows are all about. I mean, I don't even know how many shows I've put on, and to hear him talk about, doing a show every single day. And I mean, I do a couple a year and it stresses me out. I can't imagine doing as many as he has done, but it's, I'm glad he said he struggles reading also his own book because I've tried a few times and I have to get the audiobook, I think, but my wife read it and she loved it. So it was great job, Polly. Great get on that one.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing, if you listen to the interview in its entirety of my conversation with him, he actually says, if anybody in your book club's interested in putting on events, and I thought of you, Rich, Rich does a lot of our booking for shows and stuff with MBY. And he said, it's the same in your backyard as it is for, Soldier Field. It's the same exact thing. The, the scale is bigger, but
I don't know about that.
he said, you'll hear him say it. He was just like, it's the same exact kind of concept. And one thing he talks about in the book, and for whoever's read it, is how important things are, like beer lines, the air in the cap. He says that the cap has really good air. And I know some people who are here, Dave O'Rourke, who lives right around the corner from the cap, can attest to that. And the lighting, the sound, all of those things are his. And I have a quote from him. He said, I wanted Brooklyn Bowl to feel like late night after the festival. And I haven't been to a Brooklyn Bowl, but if anybody here has, it would be great to hear about it. But Dave, I'd like to hear too about what the cap's like, because I've never been there as well. So if anybody has any thoughts, love to hear.
Well, I've been to both. Um, Brooklyn Bowl is very unique. If you've never been to a concert with a bowling alley next to you, what's really cool about it is you can actually bowl and listen to the music. It's right next to the stage, and it's also the food is prepared by Blue Ribbon, which is top notch. It's a great facility. And I mean, the cap is just a big venue, classic big room, beautiful old theater, and been there many times. And it was funny because I went on their calendar today and I sort of listened to the first half of the book throughout the day today. And he was talking about bands back in the mid to late 90s. And tonight at Garcia's, which is the bar right off in the same, same structure as the cap, it's just off to the side, smaller bar with also a small stage. They're having a benefit with the players from Mo, Humphreys McGee, and Disco Biscuits. So some things never change. So it's I might have to leave early. No.
I'm sure that's where he is, because I asked him to come and he's like, I have something that night, but I'll try to stop by. I'm sure he's so busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so cool. And I think, he's known for reading this book and hearing about how he took over wetlands when he was 23 or 24 and what he learned from Larry Block. And as I said in the interview, I did this 101 words of wisdom because I just felt like it was such a wonderful uh, kind of understanding of business, but yet with heart, like why you're doing what you're doing in your life and how to, how that translates to your work life and your home life. So yeah, pretty amazing. Yes. Anybody can just jump right in, you guys.
I went to the 50th in Chicago, and it was so smooth and so easy. It was ridiculous how
Really?
comfortable it was, and no hassle. And the city was so cooperative, and it was just really an amazing experience.
Wow. And which night did you go to?
All of them.
All of them, Missy. That's awesome. Yes,
And I knew that we were going to get tickets. I knew that with the mail-in that we were going to get them.
I love it.
So, yeah.
I love it. Well, that's good to hear because that's something that's so important to him is running a venue and running those events. And he talks in the book about how stressful it is, but what a high it is when it works out. And you must have seen the rainbow then.
That was in California.
Oh, that's right. That was in California. And I don't know if you've read the book, but in
Yeah,
the
I
book,
did.
they talk about how the rainbow came out as because they had Santa Clara, right? The shows in
Yes.
Clara and then
Yeah.
Silverfield. And a rainbow came out, if you
Mhm.
haven't read the book, and everyone thought he had somehow manifested a rainbow.
Yeah.
And he talked about standing next to when the rainbow came out, Jerry's daughter, I can't remember which one, but he said,
Pixie.
Right, exactly. And he looked at her and he said, "That's your dad." And she said,
Mm.
"Yep."
And he's mentioned other rainbows at Locken because of the topography of the area too. Yeah.
That's right.
Mm.
That's right. Thank you.
I just want to also, if you haven't watched his wetlands, also that you posted on our website, definitely check that out to see he was on. I mean, he was ahead of all of these jam bands starting to make it. They were, no other venues were giving him even the time of the day, and he was snatching them all up. I mean, Dave Matthews. I mean, Blues Traveler was there all the time. Spin
And
Doctors, and
doctors,
that also, Polly. But to see the bands that he got there just blew my mind.
it's so true. One thing
He's
he
got
said,
more medals of honor than a general, you
it's so
know?
true. One thing I love that he says in the book is he talks about no's and how no's turn into yeses. And that like, that ability to ask and use your asks well, and then have those asks sometimes work and sometimes not.
And on that, uh, whenever I'm trying to book a show or a festival and I reach out to whoever I want, I mean, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I reach out and ask Fish if they want to come play my festival in Falmouth. What's the worst thing they're going to do? They're going to email me and say no, and I've put on festivals, everything. I've been denied a lot. But like you
Exactly.
said, those no's turned into yes eventually, and you get who you're supposed to get.
It's so true. That's so his philosophy. Um, and as I asked him, like now that he's got, I mean, the people he hangs out with and the caliber of the performers that come to him, I think really, as he said in the interview, like you just want to spend time with people you like. And I think people like him and they want to be with him. So
Yeah. And that philosophy, I mean, it's more than just a music venue and booking shows. You can run with that through life. I mean, going trying to get a new job or finding new friends, whatever you're gonna do, it's all those no's will turn into the right yes.
But he does have a talent for it. It's
Oh,
part of his DNA.
that's right. You are so right about that, Susan. I asked him about why he thought that was, and he said he's the youngest of three brothers. And he said, being the youngest, I just was happy to be along. And I was just, his brother in one interview I saw said he just always had a knack for not pissing people off.
I'm impressed that he's not jaded about the business, that it seems that he still has the same enthusiasm now as he did when he started.
I agree, for sure. And now he's moving on. Like, I know, oh, here he is, Peter Shapiro.
Where is he?
Oh,
Hey, everybody.
oh
At least
my
better this way.
God.
Hey,
Hey, book club.
Heyo.
good evening.
And I'm with my daughter Roxy. We're driving to take her to college, back to college.
Hi,
Hi,
Roxy.
Awesome.
nice to
Oh
meet
my
you
gosh,
guys.
we were just sitting here. We showed a video of you. We were singing your praises. So many people talking about your venues and
Right.
what
Oh, wow.
a rock star you are. So thank you so much for coming on and saying hi.
Awesome. Nice shirt there you have. That's a
Thank
cool
you.
relic shirt.
Thank you. Happy
you,
birthday to Bobby
Thank
today.
you, guys. Thanks for all loving the music. And John May. It's Bobby and John's birthday.
Oh,
Funny.
is that right?
Did you know that? It's both of their birthdays.
John Mayer,
Yeah,
both.
call them the Cosmic Duo.
Even prior to that,
Cosmic Duo. I love it.
I think it was the first trip I saw. James.
Well, thank you guys for reading the book. I just want to come on. Polly, thanks for being awesome.
You're the best.
And
Thank you for
I hope
taking
I
it.
see you guys all at a show. I'll try to keep doing more cool things that you all enjoy.
Thanks for everything, Peter. Honestly,
Thanks,
safe travels.
Polly.
Okay.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll.
Bye. Thank you. Well, that was nice.
Oh, sweet.
Case in point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wanted to share something I really loved in the video, talking about venues as spaces where you come to like connect spiritually and to for whatever version of your church that really resonates for me. And I just wanted to also share, I'm so inspired. My partner and I just moved upstate, and so we're pretty close to the Cap, but we're even closer to Bearsville. And as we've been on this call, I just bought us tickets for a show in April to see my partner's favorite band. So it's just cool to, and we moved from Brooklyn. So I've spent many nights at Brooklyn Bowl. And I had no idea that he was orchestrating all of these. And it's really cool to think about the experiences I've had at each. And to then see him. I have not read the book yet, so I'm excited to pick it up now. And I just wanted to
What
say,
band did you get tickets to?
we're gonna go see Dawes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Taylor Goldsmith.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome, Abby. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here tonight.
Oh
It's
my gosh,
so fun.
it's my pleasure.
I didn't know he had Bearsville. That place is on fire right now. They're getting everybody through there.
Yeah, he just picked it up, and I think as a friend of mine who lives in Woodstock was telling me that he didn't buy it, but he's taken over the management of it. So I forget the woman's name who owns it, but I think she kind of pulled him in and said, "Can you help manifest good things here?"
Yep. Abby, you're gonna have to report back to us.
I will. I was just gonna say, Polly has my information, so if anyone's coming to see a show there, let us know. We have a guest room and we're fun.
Yes, you are fun. Anybody else? Anybody else read it?
I haven't finished it, but I, of course, appreciate all the Chicago references and, could imagine myself as I'm reading the book, putting myself right in some of those venues, most of which I've been. So I wish he would do something here in Chicago. We have a lot of great venues, but it would be really fun if he did something here.
Yeah, it's so true. And I know he went to Northwestern and he got married in Chicago. So he definitely has ties there.
Yeah, really fun.
Thanks for checking in from Chicago.
Of course.
We appreciate you guys out there.
Yeah, thank you. We love our great city.
Hi, I'd like to say something. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
Go.
I just think that I haven't read the full book, but it's a great book, and I find it very interesting. And it's almost to me, looking at it different from even the music, is how the success he's had by just doing what he wanted to do. And I think every high school kid should read this book. It's about, don't worry about a lot of nonsense people are going to tell you about success and failure, and you can't do this, you can't do that. He had a dream. He just followed it. He's obviously very smart, talented, whatever, human being. But the insight to me was, and I, as an entrepreneur and a business guy, I kind of did the same thing. And not that's silly to say, but you find some weird path, doesn't make sense. But you ask one person one thing, and you ask another person another thing, and something good happens, and something else good happens. And so the music part of it's unbelievable. I mean, because we know the names of the people he associated himself with. But I think his personal path as kind of a mantra to how to live your life is almost more important than who played the music on what day at which venue. So it was very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, he knows how to treat people, and they treated him back in kind.
Bingo.
That's exactly right.
I'm coming in from Ecuador, and my wife has participated in the book club before. My name's Andy. She's Michelle, Miss Bell. She's signed up before.
Hey, guys.
And yeah, I agree with the last person said is exactly what I feel about the book. It's awesome how much energy and how he can make things happen. We've been doing it in Ecuador for 30 years. He's been doing it, all over the United States for 30 years. And being an entrepreneur and making things happen is an amazing thing. I'm very inspired by the book.
Yeah, and when you say you've been doing it for 30 years, are you involved in music in Ecuador or just
No, we have a little eco lodge called the Black Sheep Inn. The Black Sheep Inn became quite famous for, doing ecological tourism where, we did very well. If you want to look it up, you can look it up online, Black Sheep Inn. But it's amazing what energies you put out every day, and you keep going and going and going. And I can't believe the energy that he had. I kept saying to Michelle, he's crazy. Look at this. And then he does this. And then he does this. And then he does this. And I was like, he sounds just like you.
Oh, I love that.
So,
So true. Yeah, and he talks about that, just so many people shutting him down, and he just kept going and believed in it.
Yep. Making things happen. It's amazing what you can do. And some of it's luck. And then he talks about his failures. And I appreciated reading chapters of things that he worked on and then it didn't really go. Like in Prospect Park with all the food stands and stuff. It worked for a couple of years, but it didn't really work. And then learning from your failures and keep going.
Yeah, it's so true. Another thing that comes to mind with that is when he was in Las Vegas opening Brooklyn Bowl. And I don't know if anyone remembers that chapter, but things were just imploding and Caesars started taking everything over and like connecting their, they were sending over all of their credit card machines because they were literally like taking it out from underneath him. And that's when he talks about stepping back from the abyss. And I talked to him about that in the interview about when you're going through something really stressful, you got to step back from the abyss and just like get perspective. And he said he did that in that moment and then was able to like regroup. So it's incredible. But thanks for weighing in from Ecuador. We really appreciate it. What time is it there? Is it the same time zone?
When you guys fall back, it's the same time as us. We're 1 hour earlier. You're going to fall back in another, a week or something? Then you'll be the same time as us.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Great to be here. You do a great job. It's fun to
We
listen to
lost
everybody.
the electricity as we tried to tune in. We had to sign in on my cell phone instead of Andy's computer.
Yeah, there's power cuts in Ecuador for about 10 to 12 hours a day. We didn't think it was coming this early, but there's no power here now.
Ah, well, thanks for getting it done. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course. I like seeing Chris here. Chris, where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut. Holly, I really enjoyed the interview, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And you talked about your personal inspirations of wetlands that you had just on a personal level. And you said you fell in love with your man, your guy, now your husband, I know as Brad. What was the vibe? Not so much between you and Brad, because I can imagine, but what was the vibe that was flowing that night at Wetlands?
Yeah, so I mean, Wetlands was a place that, as Peter talks about a lot in his book, he took it over at 24 and he took it over from a man named Larry Block, and it was an activist club. So there was a big VW bus, and you could get information about stuff going on. There were kids who were into activism. There was, as I mentioned, the inner sanctum that was down on the bottom floor where people were literally like laying around talking. There was candlelight. It was like the coolest thing. And he talks about, as I mentioned, Larry Block always believed in 2 sets. So he believed in a set break. So the band would play a set, stop, and then it would be like a half an hour or whatever before the band started up again. And that was his theory, was that allowed people to hang out together. And the vibe was just like a Dead show. I mean, just like he talked about the Brooklyn Bowl being, he wanted it to be like feel like after a Dead show. That's just what it felt like at Wetlands. And they made the stages purposely like on the floor. So the stage wasn't raised. So you were right next to the bands and you were just with them as they were playing music. And as an audience member, it's like an amazing feeling. And as I said, it's a collaboration between everyone around you. So, I mean, how could you not fall in love in that situation? Thank you for your question.
I'd love to add on to what you said, Polly, about the experience. And when I read the book, I've been listening to the book today. Unfortunately, my experience preceded when Peter ended up taking it over. I believe he said in 95. So it was really in the like 89 to like 94 time frame. And yeah, and to sort of bring it full circle back to MVY, a band we saw play there was N Train. And so today I texted Judd Fuller and I said, did we see you guys at like 93 and he's like, I think it was 94. And, we were laughing about the small stage and how it was, literally 2 feet off the ground. And I don't know if you remember N Train, they had like 7 or 8 people in the band. So it was a blast. And, my experience mostly going to ska shows there, which again had, a big horn section, anywhere from like 3 to 5 people. So, and the crowd would get pretty pumped up. I was less so into sort of the jam scene back then, whatever, constituted back then, and was more so seeing more ska shows there.
And I know you're a big DMB, heavy duty, and the Dead too, of course, but
late arriver to that through my wife, really. And, so we never saw them there. I look back today through the interweb and I was trying to look at some of the shows from the early 90s that they cataloged. And the bands I remember seeing were like the Toasters, the Scotalites, Bad Brains, if you really want to get hardcore, Fishbone, bands like that. And sometimes I think he mentioned in the book, they would even have those shows on like Sundays, on a Sunday night. So nothing starts the week off better than a ska show on a Sunday night.
Oh, that's so true. Gosh. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here, Dave.
And then the other side of hardcore would be at Garcia's, where you would see Amy Helm or Larry and Teresa.
Exactly. At the Cap. You obviously have spent some time there.
Well, I have a cousin who's been all over the world with music. And so because of where he lived, and he would say, hey, come on down there playing, and that's how it goes, But we have them up here at the Cape, so it's not too shabby here either,
That's for sure. That's so great. Oh, nice. Thank you all for being here. It's such a treat.
Watching the wetlands thing today, he was talking about those ska shows, and he said the staff and security, everyone hated those shows because the ska people, the people that were there weren't drinking. So they didn't make money on the ska shows. No one was drinking, so the bartenders didn't make money, and security had to bust their butts because everyone was going crazy. So he said the ska shows were such a big hit, but it put so much stress on everybody there.
I took it as a personal challenge to help the bartenders on those nights.
Exactly. It's funny you would mention that, because another quote I got from an interview I read of Peter in Gold Mine magazine. I don't even know what that is, but he said, and you guys will love this. It says, the jam band fan is a great customer. They have good vibes. They're always with friends. They aren't too sanctimonious about the show. It's just about the experience. They're pretty cool, and they tip well. So there you have it. I love that quote. Wanted to ask you guys too, there's another thing in his book, in chapter 19, he says, I'm sometimes asked what is my favorite venue that I don't own. And I thought that was a really cool question, because we've all been to so many venues. I'm wondering what some of your favorites are. He said, well, I've been to a lot of amazing places, including Red Rocks and the Gorge. I don't hesitate to say Central Park Summer Stage. And he goes on to talk about going there with Ryan Miller, who's a good friend of his, and hanging out. And there's no parking lots. It's just, it's Central Park. So wondering if you guys have any thoughts about venues or places you like to see shows or memorable shows.
Red Rocks is amazing. It doesn't matter who you see there. It's just mind-blowing. But it's funny that everybody has this opinion about the Cap. I was only there once, and I hated the place.
Really?
I thought the vibe sucked. We were there for Hot Tuna. It was the first show in our lives that we ever left while it was going on.
And when was this? Was this post Peter Shapiro or before that?
No, it was when he had the club. But I was like, I don't get it. I'm missing something.
Interesting. I love hearing that. It's so subjective, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's saying the Salt Shed. Oh, right, from Chicago. I know the Salt Shed is a big hit, right? People are really liking that out in Chicago.
Yes, it's relatively new. Maybe 2 seasons. And they have both an indoor venue and an outdoor venue. The backdrop is a beautiful skyline, and it's really comfortable, really easy. Really, the acoustics are fantastic. Really great venue, great new venue.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. SPAC. I love SPAC too. Whoever just put that in there.
Yeah,
I just did Farm Aid there actually 2 weekends ago.
Really? Oh my God.
Oh, Neil?
It was fantastic.
Yeah, we go there every summer. It's a special spot in the middle of the park. Yeah, we love Saratoga.
And I know Chris lives near Park City. Is it Park? Is that the name of it? Park City?
Yeah, Park City Music Hall. Yeah.
And that's
in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
I've yet to go, but I look at the roster, and they had great acts coming through there.
Oh, they do. I mean, it's very like all different acts. I mean, there's a grassroots, appreciation for it too. Um, it's right down the street from me, and I go there, and it's just nice. It's real people, real music, and I don't know, you just connect. It's at a real grassroots level, which I appreciate.
Nice to
Yeah,
have that as a home venue.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
seriously. And it used to be Acoustic Cafe, right? Back in the day.
Yeah, I think, right?
I
Yeah.
think they opened it up so the whole front like opens up on a nice day. So it's like you have that flow.
Yeah, totally.
Another the FTC is another venue that gets a lot of good acts flowing through it. Another place I haven't been yet.
Yeah, incredible. I actually went down there and I saw Donovan playing just out in the parking lot. And he was playing with his son who, you know, hadn't it was a beautiful, beautiful show. He hadn't his son looked like he hadn't played many shows before. And it was this beautiful relationship between he and his son um
Hmm.
in the parking lot of FTC, and it was just wonderful. It's music is beautiful that way. Live performances are beautiful, right?
Absolutely, for sure. I know. Um,
I love to see the acoustic cafe like revamped with Park City because I spent like my whole high school career on Friday and Saturday nights at the acoustic cafe. And it's so cool to see it like just the evolution of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
and it'll be interesting to see with Bearsville what Peter does with it and how he changes it and shifts it around.
I mean, being on Cape, I got a shout out to Beachcomber too. I mean, they have like the lower stage also, so the musicians are right there.
Is that right? I've never been there.
Yep. I mean, it's like the same thing. I mean, the stage is maybe a foot high, and I mean, you're right up
I love
against
that.
them, so it's,
I
it's the
love that.
same
And you,
feel.
Rich, you were at Outermost Festival this weekend, G Love's Festival, right?
Yep.
That sounded like it was pretty intense.
Oh, it was amazing, and
And
I
Jack
mean,
Johnson showed up.
yeah, well, he was scheduled to play Sunday, but he
Oh,
showed
he
up on
was?
Saturday and sat in with Slightly Stupid and
Oh,
actually ended up backstage and was able to meet him and G Love. And I mean, he was just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Took a picture with me and the whole family. So
Wow.
that's
oh, him and
that's
G Love have
all.
collaborated a lot.
What was that?
He and G Love have collaborated a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
is that right?
Donovan, yeah, yeah, they're good friends. And Donovan played on Sunday, so I saw a video of them at G Love's house, the couple of days leading up to it, all jamming. And I'm just, how do I get invited to them just jamming at G Love's house,
Exactly.
Well, backstage sounds really fun. Good for you.
Yeah, it's some cards fell in place, and next thing you know, I was eating Buddha bowls with Jack Johnson. It was amazing.
That is amazing. And good things happen to good people. You deserve that. You
Thank
put
you.
in your time with the scene, that's for sure.
The club that Phil
That's awesome.
Lesh had, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say that being from South Coast, Mass, originally, a good place to see a show is the Narrows in Fall
Yeah.
River. We saw Donovan there just this summer
With his son.
with his son, and it's a great show with the art gallery there and everything. Highly recommended.
Very
Good sound and very personal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Donovan sounds like he's getting around. He must
Yeah.
be.
He's awesome.
Phil Lesh had a really nice club in Marin County where, there's so many musicians there. And there's the Warfield, which is a dump. But we were there one night seeing Dylan, and Jerry Garcia just walks on stage. So it's just,
Amazing. That was
iconic
nice.
places.
Yeah, and what's the place in Brad, in Marin? Is it Bobby Ware or is it Phil's or do they both have?
Sweetwater Cafe, is that the one? Or the other
Bobby
one?
owns Sweetwater now.
Yeah, Sweetwater
Right.
Cafe, and the other one is Phil Lesch's place. What's that?
Terrapin.
Terrapin Roads or
I'm
Crossroads? No.
Terrapin Crossroads.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And then for another venue, I was going to put out old school Martha's Vineyard is the Hot Tin Roof way back when. A good feel for seeing a show.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
1,000%.
And for any of the Massachusetts people here, Soundcheck Studios up in Pembroke is a pretty sweet spot.
I don't think so. I think the
No?
sound sucks there unless you're right in front. I don't like that place at all. And I think it's embarrassing. It's a studio, for God's sakes. The sound is terrible.
That's the beauty of music and books, right? Everybody has their vibe.
Yeah.
Who'd you see there?
Playing Dead.
Okay.
So I wanted to give a quick shout out to the Narrows Center too. We saw Peter Wolf there this summer, and these at the end during the encore, he's doing "Must Have Got Lost," and these two older guys in front of us get into a fight. I mean, like old guys get into a fight. One of them had to get chucked out. It was so bad. But the show was great.
Yeah, the show was excellent, and I think Peter Wolf is playing, and he's like laughing because he sees this fight breaking out. Like I had to go get the usher and say, "You need to like this is bad. This is really getting bad. You need to take them out." And he's just up there playing and laughing. It was, but the Narrow Center really is great. I mean, the art studio part of it was great, and the venue was really wonderful. So, yeah.
Where is that located?
Fall River.
The Narrow. So you could see great music and maybe some boxing.
And they have a
no
really
highlight.
Yeah, Peter Wolf's probably used to that, right? Back in the day. Probably Jay Giles probably had some serious stuff going on.
Yeah.
He has his own pack of a little pack of Dead Blake followers. He calls it. They're called the Wolf Pack. They all have their own Peter Wolf T-shirts and so forth. They follow him around from show to show, but he doesn't exactly travel very much anymore.
Yeah.
The whole tour was basically just Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Maybe they're all coming to see Duke Levine.
Maybe.
Fabulous guitar player.
He was in the it was a good performance.
So good space. Go see a show there.
For sure. Have fun to just sit and talk about music. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And where are you from, Craig?
Granville, Ohio.
Really?
Yeah, near Columbus.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I grew up near Cleveland, and I have to say, Cleveland does rock. But good sound means everything. And you, Polly, and Joe, you bring so much. I appreciate you sharing all this. I'm not really able to get to any concerts right now, so it's just great listening to you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. It's such an honor, and thanks for showing up tonight, all of you. And I know everybody's busy and there's serious baseball going on in the world, and there's other things to watch. So it means a lot. And the fact that Peter showed up, and it just speaks to him. He was really great to spend time with me and share with you. And I know he appreciates you being here too. So thank you for that. And I guess it's right around 8 o'clock. Where does the time go?
Where does it go?
Yeah, it's fun to hang
Y'all
out.
are great.
As always, Polly.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Polly,
we'll see
you're
you in
amazing.
January for Jason Green's book. Whoever wants to show up, and I'll be sending out an email about that. So, but don't forget to check the book club page, because all of the past book clubs, the interviews, and all the audio from my interview with Peter and all the other authors are there, and they're really interesting to listen to when you get a chance. So, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Polly.
With you,
Great
and
seeing
have
you.
Polly.
Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Peace,
night.
love, and joy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.